hum from below, below. A velvet pull through the undertow. It says, come closer, don't run, don't hide. What broke in the dark can still survive. Ghost of Scorpio. Ghost of Scorpio. Slip through my bones and make me glow. Ghost of Scorpio. Ghost of Scorpio. Welcome me home from the afterglow.
Hello, hello. I am back again, and this time I am talking about the full moon that's coming in Scorpio. The Scorpio full moon is coming on May 1st this year, 2026. And wow, this is going to be a very intense full moon, and we're gonna get down into that and dive deep into this full moon. Yeah, we're gonna have all kinds of unresolved things coming up, and a lot of shadows are going to be showing up, bringing themselves into the light. This is a chance for healing, but it might be very uncomfortable for everybody. So I will get started sharing the chart here. And so that we can take a look and see what is happening. Okay. Now, so this full moon is happening, like I said, on May 1st, 2026, which is a Friday at 10:21 a.m. Pacific time. Um, yes. And so we've got the moon here in Scorpio opposing the sun in Taurus. And first of all, this moon in Scorpio, let's talk a little bit about what that means. It means that we'll be taken to the edge of our comfort zone, most definitely. And so that we can experience life and with a intention for more mastery through experience. Sometimes we learn a lot when things go wrong, and this isn't about um, anything too drastic, most definitely happening in your life, but it is going to feel intense. That is ultimately the the thing about Scorpio is that it feels intense, whether it is or feels intense to another person. That is actually a personal experience. It's your personal opinion. It is firsthand experience. That's what Scorpio intensity is about. Is about gaining more firsthand experience by taking yourself to the edge of what seems safe and dangerous. Because it's like black and white. There's safe and then there's not safe. And this is in the world of Scorpio. It's very black and white, um, good or bad. Um, yeah. And so I said that unresolved things are going to be coming up, and it's going to be a time for healing because we have Chiron and Mercury conjunct during this full moon. And that's going to bring mental wounding up. And so again, we're reinforcing this idea that we're going to be dealing with our emotions. Mm. And so, most likely, we're going to be bringing up these intense emotions that have to do with wounding in the past. And if we can remember that things are coming up so that we can master them, ultimately, that is the mission for Scorpio, is to master our emotions. Now, master is not the same word as control. In fact, a shadow or unhealthy way of seeing Scorpio is that you have to control your emotions and that you basically manipulate through emotional context. So this is one of the shadow realm, shadow aspects of Scorpio is controlling our feelings and instead of feeling our feelings. And we feel our feelings in an effort to master over that feeling because if you if you don't let yourself experience it, there is no chance for mastery in this lifetime. And that's sort of one of the things that this full moon is about is kind of like past life karma and stuff too. Considering that we have both Pluto and Mars are the rulers of Scorpio. Yes, Mars is the old ruler before Pluto was discovered. And after Pluto was discovered, Pluto became the modern ruler of Scorpio. So we really want to take both of these planets into consideration when we're looking at this full moon in Scorpio. Let's see. So we have issues of death and rebirth and regeneration coming up. And this is probably going to be in the bigger, more worldly aspect of what we'll be experiencing. We'll probably be hearing about deaths, um, and we will be, uh, you know, experiencing, watching people have their rebirth moment and regeneration moment. And I think a lot of those things are already bubbling up as I record this. It was very interesting to see full moon energies start to ramp up before we get there, like well before we get there. But everything is getting set for where they're supposed to be for when this full moon happens. Let's see here. What else? I am okay. So themes of the underworld dimension are going to be coming up. And what does that mean in real life? Well, it means that literally things about the underground could be coming to light. That is something that could be happening, um, which is highly likely considering that one of the shadow aspects of Scorpio is secrecy. Now, we think that secrecy is just like a normal thing for Scorpios and the Scorpio energy to be expressing, but that's actually a very unhealthy way for Scorpio to be behaving. Um, so things coming into light that were secrets are probably going to be a big theme with the world at large. We'll be seeing secrets come out. Probably most definitely. I'm pretty confident with that one actually, because we've been through so much intense energy to get here that it's really already speaking the language of Scorpio. So it just seems like Scorpio has this full moon, and Scorpio has just been sitting back and waiting for its moment to shine, literally, in the sky and illuminate um, secrets and illuminate vengeance, illuminate places where we've been in denial, and to also shed light on the structures of power that are beneath the surface that operate in the dark. So, since Chiron and Mercury are conjunct during this full moon, the wounding and the trauma and the communication, the news, this is really part of the mechanism that makes this, that pushes the secrets out into the open, because Mercury, Mercury is there to shed some light on wounding and to help this process, because Mercury is very hermetic, as above, so below, as within, so without. It's something to remember, especially right now, because we're dealing with the shadow realm and the underworld world realm and emotions which can't necessarily be seen. Yes, people act out on their emotions, but we don't always see them until we have that element of Mars taking action. So we have Pluto, one ruler, where we have emotions that are in the dark and kept in locked up in the box. Then we have, on the other hand, we have Mars, that is just very expressive and takes action, and usually through emotional motivation, especially in the context of a Scorpio full moon. So I'm hoping that it's starting to make sense. So the hermetic effect of Mercury is that Mercury wants to shine the light on the shadows so that we can bring it out into the light and give it the attention that it deserves for the healing to move forward. And that is what Mercury is here to do with Chiron, because we have that conjunction happening. Um, it's really sort of, it's a very beautiful dance that we're looking at, because it is one where we dip into our pain, you know, but dipping into our pain is so that we can give it the attention it deserves so that we can heal those things. And when we start to heal our, when we start to give attention to the feelings that need healing, um, we can start to see things a little bit more clearly, which is also that mental aspect that Mercury is bringing in. So, as within, so without, right? So, whatever's going on the inside, Mercury is really teaching us this during this full moon. Whatever is going on the inside is going to be manifesting on the outside so that you can bring your attention to it, so that you can focus on a wound that has been trying to get your attention. So, and it's one of those things where you're going to have to trust that you'll be okay doing that kind of work right now. Otherwise, here is some consideration of the shadow, the unhealthy experiencing of a Scorpio full moon is there will be fear of power that comes up. And if that comes up, you need to look at why are you fearing your innate power? You were born with it. It's God given, and it is yours to claim. And why do you fear it? What is in your wounding that keeps you from claiming your power, your innate, beautiful power? Um, Themes of secrecy will come up. Now, if you're the type who you're keeping secrets, well, I mean, this might be a time when your secrets come out. There just is a way of that happening. It just happens. Especially when the lesson that we're learning right now is that we need to heal these things. And so if you're keeping secrets, it's because, obviously you don't trust. And why don't you trust? And you can dig deeper into that. Attachment is actually a shadow aspect of Scorpio. Being too attached to the outcome of things, like, you perfectly manipulated somebody and are very attached to the outcome of what that should be, right? Because you carefully tended to that control and manipulation, and this is all very scorpionic and the shadow, right? And turning into an energy vampire and believing that you need to steal energy from other people is a shadow aspect of Scorpio. And that is an issue that we might see come out into the open also. And you might, if you're a certain kind of aware, conscious, I don't say that, if you're a conscious person, but a certain kind of consciousness will be able to see that there's energy vampires coming out of the woodwork right now. Because if you're not really thinking about it, you're probably going to see an opportunity to steal somebody's energy, and that creates bad karma. It's not going to work well in the long run. It's like working with black magic, right? Of course, it's very powerful, but it comes from believing that you lack power, actually, and that you need to externalize your power. So think about that for a minute. And another shadow aspect of Scorpio is obsession over the darkness. And I know we have our darklings out there, but when you're really, really attached to being depressed, when you're attached to being the victim, um, and that's that attachment again, when we're sort of doubling down on all of these keywords, because this is what tends to happen if you are spending all of your energy on not letting yourself feel your feelings, your emotions. So, the Scorpio full moon is going to be asking you to feel those emotions in order to heal them and to trust that that's the path. We have, so talking a little bit about bringing how this full moon is going to bring you to the edge of your comfort zone. But this is going to be a lesson in how you gain your power back. And so the Scorpio full moon is a good time to think about how if your comfort zone is really small, then you're going to have very intense experiences just right on the outside of that comfort zone, right? So if you don't like to go outside of your house, it's going to be intense just leaving your house. And so this is what these experiences that are coming into and for us to experience during this full moon in Scorpio is to basically get us to bump out those comfort zones a little bit or a lot, because there we have been very closed in and protecting ourselves a lot. It's a very general feeling. It's one of the reasons why it's been hard to connect with other people out there. We have a lot of system of fake connection through social media. Social media is great, and we all use it from time to time in order to communicate with each other and to connect with each other, but it's really ultimately a fake connection. And Scorpio knows that. Scorpio is not about like faking anything. It has to be real. And Scorpio, through the power of Pluto, knows the difference between real and fake. Can't fool a strong Scorpio type. They see through all that shit. And you know it, you know it. So, so yeah, these experiences that are going to be coming in for us, and they're going to be based on our past traumas. And you might have a situation come up and say, I can't face this, I can't do this. But uh, remember, the element of faith is at play here. We're really tapping into faith, and there's a reason why in the chart. But we are tapping into faith in order to get us through this healing moment. Because, yes, we have fear. We have fear of pain coming up, fear of pain for ourselves, and fear of pain and inflicting pain on others. Mm. So the faith element, that is going to be the square between Mars and Jupiter. Mars and Jupiter in a square, and Mars is one of the rulers of this full moon. So Mars in a square with Jupiter is asking us to actually, even though it's really hard to, it's one of the hardest things that's going to be asked of us during this full moon is to have faith. Because Scorpio doesn't necessarily bring that feeling in. Scorpio does not necessarily bring faith in, but since there's a square, it's gonna be in our face. If it was a trine, it might go missed, overlooked, but this square is going to really be standing out. That we're going to be asked to use our faith to get through some of these hard times that are coming up. And the hard times that are coming up are actually inside of us. inside of our heart space and inside of our mind space. And these are going to be the two places where we are really struggling. And it's because this is the path to healing. Struggling and challenge, and that's what I mean by this square, is like struggle and challenge and needing to rise to that challenge is what brings an evolutionary response. And when we respond in a healthy way, we're gonna say, I'm taking my power back, but not controlling other people by taking your power back. Because that's not really taking your power back. That's really just controlling other people. And so what is taking your power back to Scorpio? It means that you are just developing a strong sense of self, a strong sense of your own personal desire. Because if you think about it, Scorpio, with this theme of death and rebirth, right? The death, it may not be a physical and literal death, but it could be a brush with death even. And what does that usually bring afterwards? It usually brings a moment of gratitude and great relief and this renewal of a passion for life. If you survive something that you thought was going to unalive you, I hate saying that, but if you are facing these um, events that feel like it's death is coming for you, when you can elevate yourself past that, it's such a feeling of relief that life is renewed, you know? And so that's one of the things that we really want to hold on to with faith is that the feeling of renewal is coming. That is the reward for survival. The Scorpio is about survival and feeling that immense relief that what you thought was going to kill you didn't. We've been in many different situations because as modern humans, we're not always um, in tune with like coherence. And a lot of the times we're fearful of things that aren't actually going to kill us. And it puts our nervous system in such a state to where we're traumatizing ourselves. It's something to think about with regards to fear and the amount of fear that comes up. You're really being asked to look at your process of fear. Why, what is it that is on the surface emotionally that protects your fear? Because that is something to dig into for this full moon. That is really what the underworld dimension is really about. It's about discovering those deepest emotions. And, but in order to get there, you're basically digging through layers of other emotions. Now, another theme of this full moon is going to be about practicing intimacy in a meaningful way. And we're back to not faking it. because Scorpio knows whether or not you're faking it or whether or not it's real. And that's really what intimacy is really about. It's like a real connection. It's a very, very close connection. And again, we have a lot of fake connecting going on out there because I truly believe that we have lost touch with what intimacy can truly be about and actually feel like. And so this full moon might bring that up for you. One thing to remember about Scorpio is that the mission of Scorpio is bringing spirit into matter in order to experience emotional intensity. And we all have Scorpio somewhere in our chart. We all have an area in our life that we are born to experience emotional intensity because this is the element that brings part of our spirit to life and continues to feed our life force. And if you're thinking about, going back to talking about being an energy vampire, Scorpio is about power and energy. And uh, so when you're developing a strong sense of your personal desire, you're going to be less of an energetic vampire on other people because you're focused on your own personal desire, not another person's desire. And, you know, when we think about what intimacy is, I'm going back to intimacy because this is about that connection and desire. And you can't have an intimate connection with another person unless you have discovered what your personal desires are. And you also don't know how much is too much until you've gone too far. And that is very much a Scorpio theme. So it's one of the things that might come up for you is excess and finding out where the boundaries of your excess should have stopped. It's really about, you know, figuring out how much was too much. And hopefully, and for some people, right, how much is too much? We went too far, and so, yeah, there is that aspect too of it, right? And that's, one of the reasons why I said that this Scorpio full moon is going to be bringing us to the edge. We'll just say bringing us to the edge of everything that we considered comfortable because it's on the opposite side of Taurus. Taurus is comfortable, and Scorpio is about finding the edges by leaving that comfort behind. And like, what is the edge of your existence? And that's why rebirth and regeneration that's where that comes into play. Because you're probably going to hurt yourself a little bit during this time. Hopefully not too much. Hopefully you're a moderate risk taker. Um, and just be aware of the urge to take risks. Be aware of the urge to participate in any dangerous activities. What kind of danger are you putting yourself in? And try not to be in denial mode. Um, because that is also a repression of your emotions, right? Your heart space is really going to be leading you forward because we have faith at play in here and we have emotional drive at play here. And so this full moon is not about avoiding desire. Definitely not avoiding desire. Because desire and comfort are definitely two different things. And desire is something where you're reaching outside of your comfort zone to reach for it, right? And so there's all of these nuances going on during this full moon, but it's kind of going to be in your face. It'll be in your face to a certain extent, but I'm here trying to explain that there is a beautiful other side that you're traveling to from this side. So we're on this side of the experience, and after the full moon, after the experiences unfold, we'll be on the other side. And another thing to keep in mind is that Pluto, one of the rulers of this full moon, will be going retrograde just a few days after this full moon. And Pluto will be the first planet to be going retrograde out of all the planets. They're all going forward right now. And so once Pluto goes retrograde, then it's the end of that. So Pluto goes retrograde on May 6th after this May 1st full moon. And so this full moon in Scorpio is probably more like a prelude to what themes will be coming up. And yeah, just one thing to wrap this up, and one thing that I really wanted to get across here at the end of this video. If you've stuck in this far, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You're awesome. You rock. And you get this information. This Scorpio moon is giving you permission to feel what you feel, no matter what that is. No matter what it is, you have permission to feel it. Now, I'm not saying you have permission to act on it. That's something different because you're going to have to sit with it in order to understand how to act on it. So just remember, you have permission to feel the way that you feel, however it is that you feel. And this full moon will teach you why that's important. If you can let yourself go there without trying to control it, without having to push it away, without having to deny it. This is really not a time to deny the way that you feel. Yeah. So I hope that this made sense. I think that it's a very beautiful opening, a beautiful full moon for healing in the heart space. But in order to heal that heart space, you have to feel that heart space. And Scorpio's like saying, hey, let's go down and let's dig into it. And Jupiter is there saying, yeah, it's time to do this. It's time to take action with faith. Yep, everybody's going to be okay. All right, well, I'm going to stop sharing this chart now, and I really hope that you were able to get something out of this. And I always enjoy bringing this information to the people out there. And just remember that it's going to be an intense time inside of you. It will be an intense time outside too, because as within, so without. Yes, we'll be seeing the darkness on the outside too. There's no doubt about that. But have faith, all right? And until next time, we'll be meeting again for the new moon that's coming up next. So we'll see you then. All right. Goodbye.
There's a mark on my throat like a black silk thread. Cold hands in the mirror and they know what I said. Ghost of Scorpio, tracing my name under my skin. They're learning my pain. I hear that hum from below, below. A velvet pull through the undertow. It says, come closer, don't run, don't hide. What broke in the dark can still survive. Ghost of Scorpio. Ghost of Scorpio. Slip through my bones and make me glow. Ghost of Scorpio. Ghost of Scorpio. Welcome me home from the afterglow. Ash on my colored moon on my hands, old chain dissolving like salt in sand. I kept that sorrow like a locked up blade. Now it opens slow in the underworld shade. I hear that hum from below, below. A velvet pull through the undertow. It says, breathe it in, let the bruise unwind. What hunted me leaves in time. Ghost of Scorpio. Ghost of Scorpio. Slip through my bones and make me glow. Ghost of Scorpio. Ghost of Scorpio. Welcome me home from the afterglow. No more armor, no more fight. I can Scorpio. Ghost of Scorpio.